to the 12 Days of Christmas!
Yay!
I'm joined with
Galpal.
and she's going to be taking over my channel today. So I'm out!
Yeah, bye! I'm taking over Lauren's channel today to tell you some of my favourite queer reads from 2022. All of these books are ones that I read this year. At the end of the video, I'm going to share my favourite LGBT book of the entire year. 2022 is my favourite read. If you want me to take over Lauren's channel more, you need to click all the buttons. Click every link you can find and show all your love and support to Lauren. She's doing 12 videos during this month for the 12 Days of Christmas. It's a hectic time in our house, and all the love and support you can show her, I would really appreciate. Thanks.
But also, I just want to know if you want more book stuff, because I'll let Galpal do more book stuff.
There you go. So if you want more books, you also have to let me know, because otherwise I will just go and cry in my bookshelf. Cut to Erin trying to climb into the bookshelf. The first book on the list for this year's reads is The Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. This book is a must read for any young trans kids out there. This has like all the representation you've ever wanted in a fantasy book. It is so wonderful to read. The Sunbearer Trials are a competition held in the world of Reina del Sol every 10 years. In the competition, there are 10 competitors. One of them is the winner and gets fame and glory, and the person who comes last also gets the honor of being sacrificed. Teo, who's the main character here, with his beautiful wings, he is the trans son of the goddess of birds, hence the wings. Teo has never really worried about being a competitor in the trials because he's a jade god. So there are like two god castes, the golds and the jades. And the golds are always the ones that are chosen for the competition. But this year, for this trial, there are two jade competitors chosen. One of them is Teo, and the other one is the 13-year-old child of the god of bad luck, who, as it would happen throughout the story, has many instances of bad luck. Teo and Zio, this young kid, team up and become friends. Teo also gets to reconnect with one of his old childhood friends, Aurelio, who he was friends with, and we find out through the book why they're not friends anymore, but he may also have a bit of a crush on Aurelio. It's all inspired by Mexican folklore and mythology. If you really enjoy the Percy Jackson series and all like the demigods and Camp Half-Blood, that sort of thing, this is right up your alley. Also, if you like the Hunger Games, it's a bit of a mishmash of those two. Ages 13 plus. In terms of whether this one's safe to read if you're out, there is a very brief mention on the blurb on the back that Teo, who's the guy on the front cover, the main character, is trans. But other than that, looking at the cover, it's all pretty safe. Probably all right for you to ask somebody to buy you for Christmas or for your birthday, or to get for yourself if you don't want anyone to know that you're out. We also get to have like villains who are non-binary, but you know, no one ever like yells at them about being non-binary. It's just because they're a dick. It's great. I really loved it. It was so refreshing to read, and I have some more of Aiden Thomas's books now that I'm going to read next time. Second book on my list is this one here, The Bone Spindle by Vedder. This is great for anyone who loves like reimagined fairy tale stories, but also if you were really into the Indiana Jones movies as a kid, which I was. It's inspired by and basically just a gender-bent sleeping beauty. So instead of a sleeping princess, we have a sleeping prince. Our main character, Fee, is a treasure hunter, but one day when she's in a magical ruin, she pricks her finger on a bone spindle and summons the sleeping ghost spirit of Briar Rose, a cursed prince, and he's going to haunt her until she can break his curse. So she's forced to team up with someone she's worked with before, a girl called Shane, who's like this badass axe-wielding huntswoman. They don't get along quite so much at first, but by the end of the book, they're the best of friends. Watching their friendship grow over the book was one of my favorite parts. Fee is trying really hard not to fall in love with the ghost of Briar Rose, but Shane, in typical lesbian fashion, has fallen immediately in love with this mysterious woman known only as Red. So Shane's trying to win Red over. Fee is trying desperately not to fall in love because she doesn't believe in love and fairy tales. And they're also on this big madcap adventure cross country to try and break the curse. This one's great for any young adult readers, and it's perfectly safe to buy if you're not out of the closet yet. There's nothing really on the cover or on the blurb that would indicate that there is a cute little queer romance in here.
By the way, I just want to jump in. There is a link below which will allow you to a free trial and a free book on Audible.
Oh yeah.
If you want to try audiobooks. You read a shit ton of books every year, but it takes me so long to read. So Audible has helped me read faster. This is not a spawn, but if you do use the link to sign up, I will get some pocket change back. If you want to try something new, audio is just so much easier.
I definitely like audiobooks better when I'm reading non-fiction stuff. We've listened to like a couple of finance books and things, and it's just nicer to go through any like really dense books that way. If you've got a long drive to work or to school, like
or you vacuum and listen to stuff, which I do. Anyway.
Then
Continue.
audiobooks and Audible might be the way for you. So check it out down here. Next book is this really sweet one here called Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. This one is great for any fans of rom-coms, all those sort of tropes of like, I got forced to be roommates with this person and now I'm falling in love with them. After main character Millie discovers that her sort of ex-girlfriend has been hooking up with someone else, she decides the best thing to do would be to apply to an international school in Scotland and move across the world and go and study at a boarding school over in the Scottish Highlands instead of staying in America. When she gets there, her roommate is a total princess, and I mean an actual princess. She is the Princess of Scotland, Princess Flora. As you can imagine, these two do not get along at first at all, but we get a sort of enemies to friends to lovers. It's a really cute book, a really fun read. It's kind of nice for me because a lot of the books that I read are like heavy fantasy. Age-wise, I'd say anywhere from like 15, 16 plus. It's not too heavy on the intimacy side of things, so it's really safe for that. But in terms of being safe to buy if you're not out, I wouldn't recommend this one just yet because it's clear on the front and the back that it is about a girl being interested in another girl. It's an easy, fluffy read, like all of your standard rom-coms, but sapphic. This would be the book that Lauren would read. Do you want it? Here you go. The next book is another enemies to lovers book, but set in a fantasy world this time. It's called Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. This one I'd recommend for anyone who enjoys a good fantasy read, but not too heavy on the world building. Great for anyone ages like 14, 15 plus. We have a very unlikely pairing in this book. You have Tamsin, who is a witch who's been cursed with the inability to feel love, and Ren, who has been looking after her father for her whole life and has secret magic powers of her own that she's had to keep hidden so she can stay at home and look after her dad. When a magical plague sweeps through the land and her dad gets sick, she seeks out Tamsin, the local witch, and they strike a bargain to go and find whoever's causing the plague and save her dad. And in return, Ren offers Tamsin all the love that she has for her father, which is like a big deal. If you're a fan of any books that are like grumpy person meets absolute ball of sunshine, that's what this book is. Bonus points for the smooth acceptance and integration of homosexuality in the world. Like, it's not talked about in an overt way. There's just like really cute subtle mentions such as, you know, the baker and her wife, things like that just let you know that like it's totally normal in this world, which I really love as well. In terms of whether this one's safe to read, though the girls are like standing and holding hands on the front cover, it does kind of give best friend vibes, and there's nothing really obvious on the back about the romance that develops between the two characters. So I think you could still safely read this one. You just don't have to tell anyone what's it about. The next book is, surprise, another Sleeping Beauty retelling, but this time you get the villain's perspective. This one's called Malice. It's by Heather Walter. If you liked the Maleficent movies or Sleeping Beauty or anything like that, this book's gonna be right up your alley. Alice, who's the main character, is what's known as a dark grace. She's like part of a now extinct evil race of fairies who have dark magic. But she lives in a world where there are people known as the Graces. They're humans who have been gifted with magic by a fairy race, and they have golden blood, which they can use to craft elixirs to grant people beauty, charm, and wit. Alice's blood, because she's a dark fairy, she can give people warts, she can curse them, so she's known as the Dark Grace. And nobody likes her. Alice is reviled and feared through the whole town, until one day she meets the Princess Aurora, who is the first person who actually treats her kindly and shows her, you know, some semblance of humanity. The only problem is, if Alice wants to be friends with Aurora, she has to figure out how to cure Aurora's curse, because Aurora's curse means that on her next birthday, which is in less than a year's time, she's cursed to die. Alice and Aurora team up to try and research different ways to cure her curse with like reading old forbidden magic books, and so as they're researching together, they grow closer and closer. Friendship develops into something more, and it has a massive sort of twist ending that I didn't really see coming. Really sets it up well for the sequels, so give that one a go. This one I'd recommend slightly older readers. The main characters are like 20, 22 in this book, so probably if you're like 16, 17, 18 plus, you can give it a good read. In terms of whether it's safe to read, there's a few sort of like hints on the back that there's a queer romance, but looking directly at the cover, you wouldn't notice anything, so it depends on how comfortable you are asking for it, if you can buy it for yourself. If you're gonna leave it on your nightstand like this, no one's gonna know. By the way, if you love Lauren as much as me, maybe you should consider buying some merch. As you can see, I'm wearing the Lovers Tarot Card t-shirt today. There are also jumpers, hoodies. You can buy it on a mug. So many different options to get this beautiful design. It's got the two girls in love. It says Lovers. It's like a tarot card design. And if you get the hoodie, it has a little rainbow just on the front here and the designs on the back. But any purchases you make go towards helping Lauren make all these videos in December and support her channel throughout the year. So if you want to get something cute for yourself or for someone you like for Christmas, click all the links below. Next book on the list is this one here called The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichec, I think, or Gornichec. This book takes a little known story from Norse mythology about a character called Angrboda, who was Loki's wife. Everyone knows Loki from the MCU. He's the Norse god of tricks, a trickster god. His wife and the 3 very interesting children they had, one of which was a wolf, one of which was a snake. So this is Angrboda's life story. She's a witch, has lived for centuries. People have tried to kill her multiple times and she always comes back. But this is, her life story and her trying to raise her children with Loki and prevent them from their destinies, which are a part of Ragnarok, which is the end of the gods. The queer element comes in after Angrboda and Loki's time together is over. She develops a relationship with this friend character she has through the book called Skadi, who's like a Norse huntress who comes and delivers food to Angrboda and helps her out and always threatens to castrate Loki for all the bad stuff that he does.
What the hell?
Yeah. This one's for older readers. I'd only recommend if you're like 18 plus to read this one, just because it's a bit more dense and there's a bit more intimacy, violence in this one. This one is safe for you to read if you're not out of the closet, and it's for the bis. There's a beautiful bisexual main character. This was one of my favorite books for its writing style. It's like really poetic, beautifully written, which can make it a little bit dense at times. So this one might be good as an audiobook option as well. Okay, so now we finally get to my favorite queer read of the year, which is, can I have a drum roll please? Thank you. So this is Ever After by F.T. Lukens. Now I think this one actually came out last year, but I didn't get to reading it till this year, and I am so sad that I waited because it's fucking fantastic. This is like the rom-com of my dreams because it's set in a medieval fantasy castle world. So it has all the rom-com tropes of like going on multiple dates and everything going wrong and I'm just searching for love, but it's all in beautiful magical fantasy land. Read this if you love a good rom-com and you love a found family queer story. Anyone ages like 14 plus. So this is Ever After looks at what happens after the quest is done. So Arik was prophesied to kill the Vile One and save the kingdom. At the very beginning of the book, he does that. He chops the head off the Vile One and the kingdom is saved. But now what? Arik temporarily becomes the king, but then 2 problems arise. The first is that the actual heir to the throne is a princess and she's been dead for like the last 20 years. So there goes that idea. The second problem is that now that Arik has put the crown on, he's actually bound to be the king. And if he doesn't find a spouse by his 18th birthday, he will wither away and die. So cue Arik going on a madcap adventure to find one of his quest companions to be his spouse, but he's not telling any of them why, so he doesn't tell them the stakes, and he's just going around on some very hilarious and unfortunate dates trying to find the person he wants to spend the rest of his life with. All the while he's been in love with his court mage, Matt, but he can't tell him because gay boys are hopeless. Aren't we all? The cover is not overtly queer. I mean, you've got this beautiful little situation going on the front here, but it's not super obvious at a first glance, and there's actually no blurb on the back because it's got a dust jacket, so it's all on the inside, so nobody has to see it. Lots of fun, snarky banter, and just like a lovely little fantasy world setting. It's like, I don't know, it's what I imagine like a fun D&D campaign would be like in book form, but let me know in the comments if you agree, if you've read this one. Also, let me know of any other books you want me to read or talk about next time. I'm always looking for queer book recommendations. I have a little tab saved in my phone, so let me know. If you like reading and you want some more recommendations and you missed the first video that I did with Lauren, you can check that one out here for some more great reads.
Okay, bye.
Bye, I relinquish it back to you.
Get out.
No!